like to bring to order the Austintown Township Trustee meeting, September 13, 2021. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Freano?
Here.
Mr. Kent?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Little introduction to our staff. We have Jessica Ricker. She's standing in for Jim Henshaw, Senior Center. Todd Schaefer is our supervisor at our Parks Department. Chief Andy Frost is our fire chief. Chief Robert Cavalier is our police chief. Darren Cavelli is our zoning inspector. Michael Dockery is our administrator, road department. He is out sick today. Laura Wolf is our fiscal officer. To the right, Trustee Ken Carano. To my left, Trustee Jim Davis. I am Trustee Steve Kent. Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 23rd, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Freano?
Yes.
Laura, you got anything from Mike? Any changes?
No, I don't think so.
I'll jump down to the police department. Chief.
The only thing I want to add is, as you know, I sit on the Mahoney County Mental Health Recovery Board, and this past Friday, every year they put out awards for different categories, and this year for the category for Critical Incident Stress Management Team, CIS, they call it, Lieutenant Tom Collins from our department was given that award. And what I wanted to bring it up about is about, not last year, but 2 years ago, Valerie Delmont was also given that award to Austintown Township Police Department's employees. So just wanted
That's
to
awesome.
bring that up.
Tell us what you think. Congratulations. Chief Frost?
No, I just want to let you know that we were part of a regional grant through Western Reserve Joint Fire District for radios for our department. Our 800 radios, they no longer make parts for our portables. So it was becoming a serious problem. So we went in on a regional grant. We got about $170,000 for 800 radios for the department. So
That's awesome.
It's a big grant.
Yes, yes, you do. Good deal. All right. Mr. Cavelli.
I
Yours.
would ask the board to approve a nuisance resolution under Ohio Revised Code 5.87 and declare the following properties public nuisance: 2434 Amarillo Street and 5646 Baylor High Grass. The buildings between 1015 and 1069 Compass West, dumpsters overflowing. There's a wealth of litter along the east fence line. 24 North 4 Mile Run Road, that's an apartment building, the dumpsters overflowing in the parking lot. 174 Idaho Road, junk and debris on the side of the property. 178 Idaho, weeds along the fence line. 4203 Mahoney Avenue, stockade fence in need of repair or raising. 5192 Mahoney Avenue, high grass and weeds, hate to say it, but that is the former mobile gas station that closed about a week and a half ago. Yeah, go figure. 5420 Mahoney Avenue, high weeds and grass at the curb and retention lots. 2367 Oak Trace Drive, high grass and weeds, fence within the front yard in need of repair or raising, yard waste, debris on the front porch, and firewood all in need of removal. My understanding is that it has been vacant maybe a year, and the property owner passed away, and the rest of the neighbors are not going to take care of it anymore. 267 Parkgate Avenue, 4287 Pembroke, 4326 Pembroke, 4344 Pembroke, 1981 Penny Lane, all high grass and weeds. 33 Pineview Drive, junk and debris in the driveway. 1651 South Raccoon Road, high grass and weeds within the front of the property by the Pile 1 sign. 1741 through 1747 South Raccoon Road, high grass and weeds, that's the bowling alley. 43 South Roanoke, high grass and weeds and junk and debris. 2414 Walmer, high grass and weeds. 456 Westgate Boulevard, high grass and weeds, and there's a hedge along Rosemont Avenue. That hedge has grown over into the sidewalk, obstructing the pedestrian walkway. 5124 Willowcrest Drive, high grass and weeds and junk under the deck. 5602 Yorktown Lane, high grass and weeds.
So moved and seconded.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Then I would ask the board for a motion to find the following motor vehicles meet all the following criteria: 3 model years or older, apparently inoperable, extensively damaged, including but not limited to any of the following: wheels, tires, engine, or transmission. Declared following vehicles public nuisance under Ohio Vice Code 505.871, order removal of junk vehicles within 14 days after notice to serve to the property owner. 5376 East Liberty, an inoperable four-door Blue Oldsmobile Bonneville with flat tires, license plate JLS 4637, parked in exposed manner within the grass within the rear yard. 174 Idaho Road, inoperable silver Chevrolet Cavalier with expired license plate HRC 7376, parked in exposed manner within the driveway. And then 4646 Berkeley Road, an inoperable red Thunderbird with expired temporary tag J353528, parked in exposed manner within the drive. And just for the record, I would love to have that car. It needs some work, but that could be really cool. An inoperable white Buick with expired license plate HWU 6837, parked in exposed manner within the driveway. An inoperable wrecked red Dodge with expired license plate HKJ 6382, parked in exposed manner within the front yard grass. An inoperable wrecked tan Malibu with expired license plate JJH2828, parked in exposed manner within the front yard grass. All these property owners have a letter from me, so this is nothing new. They were given notice.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And last, I would ask the board to approve the motion. I want to send the liens down to the auditor. They've got some new staffing, and they changed their procedures a little bit. They do want a motion from the board certifying that the liens that I'm sending are accurate. I'm not quite done with the sheet, but there's about $46,000 in liens. It goes from December of last year to the end of July. So we'll send that to them.
Motion necessary?
Yeah, motion to certify
Yeah.
to the Mahoney County Auditor the spreadsheet entitled Austintown Township Nuisance Assessments, December 2020 through July 2021, attached to make part of the minutes of this meeting. It's an accurate description of properties declared public nuisances and includes all costs incurred in providing for the abatement, control, or removal of any vegetation, garbage, refuse, or other debris as provided by Ohio Vice Code 505.87, and for the demolition of structures as provided by Ohio Vice Code 505.86, including the board's charges for its services, the costs incurred in providing notice and fee or interest paid to borrow money, the amount paid for labor, materials, and equipment. The Board of Trustees requests the Mahoney County Auditor place the cost as listed upon the tax duplicates of the described properties. The cost will be a lien upon the lands from and after the date of the entry. The cost will be returned to the township and placed in the township's general fund.
May I ask, are you going to add to this list?
No, you want to know something? I still have some stuff I have to do. I'm not going to add, like I said, I don't know if I've got this spreadsheets back.
We could amend it and just say.
No, you want to talk, well, I'll just start a new one, and at some point, probably at the end of the year, I'll do August through the end of December. The only demolition that we did was, which you guys approved a couple months ago, that was the house that got fired on the entire.
Yeah.
So moved.
And seconded?
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Yeah, and the last thing, I just want to advise the public, or more so the individuals who are running for office, for trustee and school board and any other office. There's no time limit on political signs. You can put them up as early as you want, you can leave them up as long as you want after election. But we do ask that you put them back about 8 or 10 feet. Now, in some areas on like Mahoney Avenue, you have double strip, and then you have parking lot. If you want to put them in the double strip, maybe put them parallel with the road and the sidewalk so that you're not creating site obstructions for traffic that wants to pull up. If anyone creates a site obstruction with a political sign, we will pull it. We will not throw it away. We'll either bring it down here or you pick it up outside the zoning office. And thus far, everybody seems to be doing a pretty good job.
Darren, quick question. New business on Mahoning. See the car wash is moving along well.
Yeah.
When are they projected to be?
I think at the end of the year.
Really? Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A, I actually gave them their permit a week ago last month. They actually have their zoning permit now, which means they can pour footage and start construction. The site has been developed pretty much to what we expected. That the retention pond is in. It's not, it's not what it will be when it's done. It's both a retention pond and a sedimentation trap, but they moved a lot of dirt. They've done a lot of work out there, and the retention will accommodate both Chick-fil-A and the building that will eventually go to the east of Chick-fil-A. But I don't really anticipate any problems. I think they told us that the zone change January or February, they wanted to be open. So hopefully it'll move along smoothly with no problems.
Paul is coming to Austintown too?
Yeah, I talked to the owner of that building a while back. I'm waiting on their signage, but yeah, the tennis basement is still vacant between the jewelry store and the phone store. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Scott? We got?
First of all, I'd like to thank Austintown Junior Women's League. Last Thursday, we had ribbon cutting out of the park for their butterfly garden that generously donated to the park and helped us build. So on the west end of the pond, I think it came out very nice. And the Junior Women's League is a big proponent of the park. They are always out there doing something for us. So I'd like to thank them for this project and all their past projects, and I know there's going to be more to come in the future. I'd like to let the board know and the public, our last concert of the summer is supposed to be on Tuesday, September 28th. We've had to move that to Thursday, the 30th at 7 o'clock. We have a county cross-country meet out of the park on Tuesday, the 28th. So I talked to the band that was supposed to play on the 28th, the Vegas band, and they were very nice to move their date to Thursday, the 30th at 7 o'clock. And tomorrow night, I expect a big crowd out at the park at 7 o'clock for Chris Higby. So get there early. That's all I got.
The Austintown Junior Women's League, that pollinator turned out really well.
So, I love it. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Good for them and helping out the community.
They put a couple, well, the soil and water also helped with that. And they put in several other of those pollinators around the county. And they want to, I think next year they want to do 6 to 8 more around the county, so.
Along with Route 11 with ODOT, they're trying to do their best. Senior Center, Jessica, how are you?
Not bad.
Where are you?
So this is going to be, we're starting our second month of getting the meals from local Austintown restaurants, and it's going really well. Seniors seem to really like it. They like picking from a menu and having a bunch of different options. And we've pretty much about doubled the amount of people that are buying meals on any given day. So that's really nice. We also had a great fair entry turnout this year. Wood carvers and our painters did well with their entries, but our winemakers did exceptionally well. So we had 24 entries into the fair for just our wine, and 16 of them took ribbons. So we had 7 honorable mentions, 3 thirds, a second, and then 5 firsts. And we also had a best in show contender. You can always tell when they really like the wine because they drink more. And we had one that she only had about this much wine left, so I'm to assume that they really liked her wine, and she almost got the best in show, but she got beat out. So they were really excited. We've got the display all set up at the center, and people keep adding to it, so we should be getting some wood carving projects here on Thursday to display. So all the seniors are really excited to look at that. Our sewing group got a big donation of fleece, bags upon bags of it. So they're starting to make blankets for the Blue Coats organization, and they make blankets for homeless veterans. So they're going to be starting that big project. So they've washed all the fleece, they're getting it on light colors, and then they're going to start making blankets so that they'll be ready by the time the weather starts to turn cold to donate to them. And we've got our student nurses back from YSU, so they just started last week. They're going to be coming in Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And they take blood pressures for the seniors. They kind of sit and socialize with them, talk to them, and then they participate in all of our different activities. We've sent them to fencing, they went to our exercise classes, yoga, and all of that. So they just kind of get to look at what the center is doing and participate in all the activities, and they seem to really like that too. And the seniors like talking to them.
Awesome.
We're glad to have them back.
That's good.
I also need a motion for the county auditor to certify my street lighting districts. So Teresa kind of wrote up something here, we can discuss it later, but I'm gonna need that as well. They just want, the auditor just wants paperwork to know that you guys know and you approve of the assessments. And again, it's just a new person and he just wants to have the backup.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I thought I was gonna have to go in and back to when each street district was certified, but it's just a motion that you're gonna certify the spreadsheet I prepared, so.
You need it tonight?
Would you like it now?
If you want me to read it? It's pretty rough here, but it says, the motion is certified to the Middletown County Auditor that the spreadsheet entitled Austintown Township Lighting District, attached and made part of the minutes of this meeting, is an accurate account of the properties and includes all the costs incurred in providing maintenance and control to those who are in a lighting district. The Board of Trustees request the Mahoney County Auditor place the cost as listed upon the tax duplicates of the listed properties. The cost will be a lien upon the lands from and after the date of entry. The cost shall be returned to the township and placed in the township's lighting district fund, which is 4501.
So moved.
And seconded.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
All right, motion to accept the August report submitted to the board to review for fund status, revenue status, and appropriation status.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
All right, new business. Motion to pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 511515.092 AB to approve public auction to be held on September 25th, 2021, 10 a.m. at the Township Maintenance Building, 66 Old Town Road, Austintown, Ohio, 44515.
So moved.
And seconded.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
That is a wide open thing for different equipment and so on that is here. It's not being able to be used anymore. And then there's an option involved from each of the departments. So join us on September 25th. Bring a couple of bucks.
Motion to approve dispatch service agreement between Austintown Township and the Village of New Middletown.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Ohio Liquor Control Division, whether to request a hearing to approval of stock transfer permit to a TA operating LLC, DBA Youngstown Travel Center, first floor only, 5476 Drive, Austintown Township, 44515, permit number 87746290030, permit class C1.
No objection.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
B is whether to request a hearing to approval stock transfer permit to QSL of Austintown, Ohio LLC, DBA Quaker Steak and Lube and Patio, 5800 Patriot Boulevard, Austintown Township, Austintown, Ohio, 44515, permit number 7128774, permit class D5I and D6.
No objection.
No objection.
So moved.
Seconded?
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Carano?
Yes.
All right, we're at our part of the meeting where we ask the public if they would like to come up and talk to us. You can be on camera or off camera, your decision. You want to be on camera?
It's fine. It's all of us.
Come on up and state your names and addresses. They'll be good.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Barbara Mallory. My address is 6,000 Yorktown Lane. I was here at the last meeting a couple weeks ago and brought to the attention of everybody the property at 6006 Yorktown Lane. These are all some more of my neighbors. We're all up in arms about it and we're not going to go away. We don't like the little silly things that have been done so far because it's getting nowhere. This has been an ongoing situation for years. The house has been vacant for over 5 years. It is in absolutely deplorable condition. You don't have to go in to see that. And I just got a thing back. I had filed, complaints with the health department, zoning and all the fire or whatever, the whole 9 yards. Okay, I got a letter today. Well, they just put a Band-Aid on the situation with the raccoons getting into the house, breaking open all the eaves and taking down all the spouting and that. This has occurred more than once. It will occur again next year because all he's doing is stapling the things back in place. There's no new stuff put up or anything. The house is infested. There's cages on the front porch that he tries to catch animals in. So I'm presuming, well, I know there has to be raccoons in there because when the girl lived there before, his sister, she lived with raccoons. She lived with raccoons, an open hole in the ceiling. So there's raccoons. They know that's a good place there. That's like the Hotel Raccoon, okay? So there you go. But when one day that I was leaving out a possum on the front porch, I did look in the big front window and you can see that there is massive debris all over the floor. It must be the ceiling because when you look up, you can see that it is partially opened, okay? Not good. If that part looks like that, can only imagine what the rest looks like. I am familiar with being in houses that are in those kind of conditions. When a house is empty for 5 years like that with all the moisture and weather, it's gonna crumble. It's gonna crumble, period. We are tired of Band-Aid solutions. I was told by Mr. Davis that there was a title search done. Yippee-ki-yay, what's that proven? I mean, the guy that's paying the taxes is not listed as the owner because the woman has been dead for 11 years. I've attempted many times to talk to Randy about the house. I know somebody that will buy the house and rehab it, but we cannot get anywhere. So we want to hear more then. And then information we were given at the meeting last time turned out to be lies. We don't like that. We are all paying taxes. We keep our houses beautiful. We want that house beautiful. It's time.
I'm Gretchen Kalani, 5983 Yorktown. We've lived there for 23 years. It's a beautiful neighborhood. We all go out of our way to be neighborly and take care of our homes, and unfortunately this home has become an eyesore. And none of us are doing renovations that are making our houses $300,000 houses, but it is a nice development. We're a very close neighborhood, and it's just really devastating to see what happens over there. And again, it is Band-Aids. I've tried to talk to Randy about, possibly selling the house to somebody, and the story is always, well, I'm saving it for my kids who are in their 30s. And, now he cuts the grass because he's been in trouble enough for that. But you can stand at Barb's house and you can see
The stench.
with a stench, and then look up, you can see where the soffit's hanging, you can see up into the bedrooms, you can look in the front window and see debris everywhere. When the lady was living there, the niece who moved in after the first owner passed away, there was holes in the roof of the house, and she would carry out the big gray garbage containers of water and dump it in the front yard. So he got in trouble for the roof. He fixed the roof. But it's just a reoccurring nightmare.
So I'm Bernie Kalani, 5983 Yorktown Lane. I'm working in construction, and I've been over to that house several times, looked in the windows to see what was going on. I noticed that the ceilings in the living room, dining room, kitchen are on the floor. The insulation's all on the floor. The black mold and all the drywall that you can see in there. It's a split level, so you can see the 2 upstairs bedrooms there. The ceilings are down. You can see all the rafters, and you can see all the way up in there. And then the carpet's all swallowed up. It's real thick. That sauna family room is all swallowed up down there. You know, moisture over the years. There's black mold on all the paneling. It's horrible. Somebody needs to go in and take a look at it and see what can be done.
I can't even imagine that it's safe to walk into without a hazmat suit on.
I agree that I'm, 10 feet away from the house, so I'm on my deck, which I like to enjoy, and I have a beautiful yard, and then I see that, and I smell that stench. Why do I have to risk my health for getting some kind of mold-borne disease or whatever the heck else is over there from the animals that have been there? Why should we have to keep putting up with that and just being told, well, we can only do this, we can only do that? Get on it and do something. Put your money where your mouth is, okay? Because we're tired of the lies and we're not going away.
Ma'am, can I stop you for 1 second? Nobody's lied to you. Number one, we have issued a title search to obtain the title. We are required by law to give people just due process. We can't just start taking over people's homes arbitrarily. So we do have to follow policies and procedures to do things in a certain way so that things, when it does come time for us to either demolish the home or have it put up for public auction, whatever the case may be, that it's done properly so that we don't put the township at a liability where the township gets sued for overtaking somebody's property unlawfully. So we're doing things in the process that we can do that. Immediately following that meeting, his fire inspector was out there to inspect the integrity of the home to make sure, as you were saying, it potentially could crumble. The fire inspector went out there and conducted.
I was there when the fire inspector was there. It was not after the meeting, it was just last week. Milleron was there, I was there, and Randy was there, and Randy knows Milleron, and Milleron was, to be honest, disgusting. He stood up for Randy. Well, I want him to go in that house and have a cup of coffee in there with Randy.
Can I just address a couple of issues? Let me just.
So no, he did not come after me.
Let's address the demolition issue, because I think, I'm not sure what I'm hearing. I think you want it rehab, not demolish.
Something, I mean,
Okay, let's just address that. At the last meeting, I told you there's specific criteria that has to be met before this Board of Trustees can declare a public nuisance for demolition. And that criteria basically is they need the structure declared structurally unsound. The two entities to do that would be the fire department, specifically Captain Milliron, or the building inspector, specifically Jeff Yarasiva. I emailed Captain Milliron a couple days after the meeting. He went out and he gave me his full report. The house is structurally sound. And that's what he was looking at. He did talk to the property owner and, or the Randy. He talked to Randy. Just let me finish it. He did talk to Randy, and regardless of that, the house is structurally sound. Somebody here filed a complaint with the building inspectors, because when I sent them an email, they said, well, we've already been out there. And I think their response is more similar to what you're complaining about, cosmetic issues. We'll just call it that. The Board of Health, I received the same letter today that you received. So, without a condemnation, without the building inspector or the fire inspector saying that's structurally unsound, or the Board of Health ruling that it's uninhabitable, there's not going to be any demolition resolution presented to this trustee, to this Board of Trustees, because legally this Board of Trustees cannot tear down a house that doesn't meet demolition criteria. We have no provisions under Ohio Revised Code that I'm familiar with that gives this Board of Trustees the right to go in there and clean or begin rehab. Now, I will tell you, in years past, when a home is open, have we done it? We've done it, I know, at least once here, and that wasn't what you're talking about. That was removing bags of trash and animal feces, and we hired a private contractor to do that, and the house was wide open though. But beyond that, unless we meet those criteria, we are not going to demo that home. We don't have the ability to put a gun to his head and force him to rehab it or to sell it. Now, I have ordered a title search. The reason for the title search, and I use a specific law firm that's pretty good, I just don't have it yet. But the reason I ordered the title search is just to see where it is in probate, if anywhere, or to see if there's a will, or just anything, any legal documents related to that house that could shine more light than what we all currently are aware of right now. I just haven't gotten the title search back, and it may be a wash. But beyond that, I asked Lieutenant or Captain Milliron about the urine, because I agree. I stood on the front porch and I could smell urine. And what he said was that was from the traps. With the raccoons, when they become afraid, you know, if they're in a trap, you're going to get that urine. But what I think, based on the comments that you're making, and I don't want to speak for the Board of Health, they have their own code. But if you've, and I have a few other houses that I think the interiors should be condemned, but they're not. But I think one of the things they issue, without me speaking for them, but one of the things they look at, is it a public health risk? If you feel that sitting on your back porch causes you health problems, if it were me, I would have my doctor document that and file a complaint with the Board of Health. Otherwise, pictures, any documentation you have in the interior, you might want to submit it to them. Because I can tell you right now, if this board is presented a resolution to demolish it, I think most likely it would have to come from the Board of Health. Now, if he ignores the house, in time, water destroys structures, destroys foundation. Fortunately or unfortunately, in 2016, he put a new roof on. Had he not put a new roof on, that would be a vacant lot right now. But he did, and unless we can get a reason to bring a nuisance resolution to this board, it's not going to happen. And
Is there any way to get someone to come look inside there?
Yeah,
we can look at windows, but
everything you've said involved a walk around on the outside, which doesn't tell you the
right.
This is a
Well, once
problem.
again-
May I, 1 second? This is the biggest problem in the world, being a township. Those of you who lived in cities and so on, in those days, you could walk inside. They could literally walk inside. We are not permitted. If we do that, and may I say this, you are not unique, by the way. We have 2 other ones. We were lucky in one because somebody opened the doors. It wasn't us, but once those doors are open, we could go in. On your case right now, the situation is such that we waited, and I called the Board of Health, everyone else did too. They did their normal procedure and the same thing that they always do. Well, we went to we're going to our attorneys, who happen to be prosecutors, to see is there any way we could force the Board of Health to be able to go inside there and do those things. The problem is at this point that we have to go to the Board of Health. Now, I will join you if you want to go and talk to someone in the Board of Health, and we'll arrange something with them and so on, because they're the ones who can do it. If we do it, Austintown gets sued. We're going to do it.
When will your lawyers get back to you?
Oh, that should be right away. But, you know, I don't anticipate them saying anything, because we follow state laws. State laws that tell us what we can and can't do. I'd love to go light a match to the damn place, but I can't. We can't. We can't simply break the law. That is to defend a lot of us, let alone this. And unfortunately, this person is abusing the privilege of the particular law. So what we have to do is try to find any obscure reason for doing what has to be done. But the thing is for you to understand something. We heard about this before. We've been working on this before you came here. The problem is that it is a very difficult situation. We're looking for some little something that we can do to go in there. Then you talked about it. You said that you're a construction person. And do you feel that the structure is sound?
Yeah, exterior or interior?
Well, it has to be the exterior, because the interior can always be handled.
I don't know how rotted the roof joists are.
Yeah. See, I'd like to go with you to one of their board meetings and start talking about this. And the worst part about it is the publicity that they have to get to maybe force some of the issues. But they cannot walk in that, we cannot walk into that building to actually do the job unless that door is open. If the door is open, we can go in.
Well, once again, I've been dealing with this. I'm in my 27th year for 2 large urban townships. And I'll tell you right now, if I get a call from a neighbor, it's what I told you guys last week, or last meeting. Just with the experience I've had, and I was part of a group of public officials who did get a search warrant to go into a house. And I know what that criteria is. And I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think there's any way you're gonna get a search warrant. Anybody's gonna get a search warrant to go into that house. But given that, if people call me and there's a house that's open, my first concern is there's somebody in there that may be in harm, or there's family pets that may be abused or abandoned. And, you know, I want to do the best I can to make sure if anybody in there needs help. You know,
If the doors ever open, I call the Austintown police and have them.
Yeah, we'll call the police.
Well, regardless, here's the thing.
Do they have body cameras?
Yes, they do.
Turn on, we
Absolutely.
can videotape the inside.
Yeah, if there's anybody in there, it's a vagrant. It's not anybody living there, because the house has been vacant for 5 years. And clearly, there's probably there's no family pets in there. Yeah, if there's a vagrant in there, you have the right to call the police if you think someone's in there.
The owner doesn't even go, well, he's not the owner. Randy doesn't even go in the
Yeah,
house.
that's why.
That's why we.
One of the reasons for running a title search, I'm not telling you it's gonna happen, but if there is no probate and she is deceased, it is legally possible to create a probate case. That goes beyond the scope of us, but certainly none of you. I mean, you can seek legal counsel and create your own probate case. And
I believe you told me that last meeting as well.
Yeah, I was there when Miller Iron was there with Randy, and I told Miller Iron that Randy did not own the house, and Miller Iron said, oh, yes, he does, he doesn't. So he lied, and he really stuck up for him.
He's Randy, whoever Randy is.
He's the guy that pays taxes.
Right. He is what I would call the responsible party, because he apparently, when that house was in lien foreclosure, he entered into a payment program. You told me that.
5 years.
And he paid it off. I know when he was cited for the roof, he put in the roof on. He was cited by Board of Health and Building, and even though, and I'm not disagreeing with you about it being cosmetic, I hear you loud and clear, but you want to know something? He complied with what the Board of Health required of him.
What if I go to the health department and tell them that smell, which is not coming from your, just from raccoons, urine, that I'm sitting outside, I can't even sit out there, neither can they.
Just let me repeat what I said. I don't work for the Board of Health, but I interact with them enough. I think what they're looking at is a public health risk. The inside of that home being secure, windows not broken, it's secured. Whatever's in there is in there. Because I'll tell you another one that I was in with the search warrant that they didn't declare uninhabitable. But I think if I lived there and it was affecting my health, I think I would see my doctor and have something from my doctor that says this house is causing me a health problem. I think you might have a better pursuit of what your ultimate goal is if you can prove that the abutting neighbors are having health problems because of what's in here. It's a tough situation, I tell you what. I'm familiar with the home, obviously, but I've got one on Penny Lane, 1981 Penny Lane. It's been vacant about 15 years. From what I was told by the neighbors, it was a young couple who were going to get married. She broke his heart, and he never moved in, and for whatever reason refused to sell it. This board cuts the grass. You know, I don't know what the inside of that looks like, but I have no right to go in it. It's secured. It's not uncommon, but there's only so much we can do. But
We had another house that was, the neighbors, and it's a nice looking house on the outside. We went in because the garage door was open. And because of that, we saw the garbage stuck in there and so on. At that point, it gave us the right to be able to.
And what Mr. Grant was talking about is another house on the other side of the township. The garage door was open. You have no idea what was in there. And when I got called out, I just made the decision, we're going to clean that garage tonight. We didn't go into the house. Mr. Crandall then later made contact with the property owner. She allowed us to go into the house. We did go in, and it's, in my opinion, it should be torn down, but at this point, it's kind of in the holding pattern. But we did go and clean it. I mean, when we were cleaning it, you could see the rats going towards the back of the garage had cellar steps that go into the basement, and you can see the rats going into the basement. We don't think our residents should have to live in those type of conditions, so we pushed the envelope a little bit.
No, we don't think so either.
Yeah, we pushed the envelope a little bit, and we did clean the garage that night, but we documented everything, and we just, hey, we pushed the envelope, and we did it for the betterment of the neighbors. And I can tell you, I haven't been in the Yorktown house, but I can tell you, just looking in the windows, the Yorktown house doesn't have the amount of garbage. You have no idea.
You didn't look into it.
Well,
We're not blind.
whatever.
Some of the garbage, it's all the black mold in there.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing
I
that.
would
And that's
love,
where he's telling you to go, you know.
Board of Health.
Health.
And it's not
With a
like-
health issue.
And I'm not
Because if
pushing
you're
you
breathing
there.
it, that could cause an issue, right?
I don't want to pass the buck and push you there. I just think there's no sense going back to the building department. Next year, I'll ask Captain Miller to go do another inspection. But I think when you get into issues of black mold and we get into issues of your health and odors, I think that the jurisdiction is clearly with the Board of Health, and I would pursue it with them.
can you see the black mold from the window?
I don't know about now, he put the blinds down.
That was back when the water was coming in.
You can still see him because it was just a few weeks ago with the possum, and I could see him, and I could see all that on the floor, just like probably a foot deep all through there. And then you
I'm not trying to pass the buck,
But the
but the
river
fact
valleys
is,
are-
I think it's time to go talk to the Board of Health, and I'll be happy to join with you in going over there, at least to make the complaint, so we can see what they, maybe put some pressure on them. Because they, unfortunately, those are the people that dictate to us.
And if they should, somewhere down the road, if they should placard it uninhabitable, we'll get a copy of that, and we'll bring a motion to this board, a resolution to this board. And there's certain legal processes you have to go through before you demo it, but we'll do it.
I think I get that started then, please.
And I'll go.
I'll tell you what I'd like you to do, if you would, please, remain afterwards, get yourself a committee. You don't want 6 people going in, you want 2 or 3, and I'd like you to go because you're a construction person. Then we'll set some meeting up with them and go in and talk to them. So you'll see that, they have the power over us, and what we have to do to take care of them. But it wouldn't be bad to go bend their ears a little bit.
Thank you.
I live next door on the east, and the wind flow comes from the west, so I can attest to all these smells. And they've given you a good story about what's going on over there, but I think there's a little bit more ammunition you might need when you go forward against your adversary over there. Just Randy, I talked to him, I don't know how many times over the years, 5 years, it's been empty, and 3 years before that, his sister lived in there. And I talked to him and I said, Randy, I said, what are you gonna do with this house? I said, it boggles my mind that every day you don't do anything, you lose money. Somewhere along the line, you're gonna get some of the money. And he said to me, he said, don't worry about a thing. He says, I got numerous contractors lined up. I even bought some stuff already, it's over at the house. He said, we'll be in here, and he says, 4 or 5 months, you won't know this. Last time he told me that was like 3 years ago. Then he came by one night, my wife and I were sitting on the deck, which we don't do too often because of the wind, He came by with a ladder, walked around back. I said, what are you doing over there? I said, I fixed something over there. So he's fixed what you've told him to, okay? But he has no intention of fixing anything else. He came by, he says, we'll be out of here by Christmas. That was like 5 years ago. He said, you're gonna see a lot of me from now on.
That's why the probate is a huge thing.
Well,
because
he can't sell the house
That's why-
because he won't get any money.
Right.
The point is that he's not declared the owner of
Give
the
it to
home.
his daughter or something like
You
that.
can't even do
You
that.
can't give it to
You
him.
can't do that.
That's, once again,
That's
that's
what
why
we're
we
trying to
ordered the
tell you.
title search, because essentially, everything he's telling you he's gonna do to the house, that's like you saying, well, you know, Mr. Kent, Mr. Davis, Mr. Carano, I'm gonna come in your house, we're gonna renovate it, we're gonna make it look like the Taj Mahal, and I'm gonna sell it, and I'm gonna make all this money. Well, guess what? No, you're not, because the three of us own the home. He doesn't own that home, sir. That's the point we're trying to make.
When I,
He can tell you whatever he wants.
He can tell you whatever he wants, but until we find out who the lawful owner of that home is, it doesn't matter if you go in there and put all kinds of money into it, if that guy over there goes in there and puts or I put all kinds of money into it. None of us can sell it. Only the lawful owner of that home can sell it.
And he
Good, real quick.
when
The
he was
law
in,
says let it rot. Is that what you're saying?
No, we are
well-
trying to do our best for you guys and for the
I wish
community.
there was some way we could put a smelling thing here that would indicate that it's a poisonous smell that comes out of there.
well,
so
he
we can
called
go to
somebody that was into that. Isn't that reason enough because of the complaints
I've
from
gone
both
to
of
the
us on
ground.
either
Well,
side?
understand with us, I'd go tomorrow and light it on fire. But the fact of the matter is, that's not our power. We have no power to do that. It has to come from the Board of Health, or it has to be constructually dangerous to people that are there. But the fact is that I understand you, and I feel very humble trying to do something about it. I wish we could have somebody open the door. But the point is, the fact is that we have to start complaining to people. I'd love to go complain to the Board of Health because that's the fourth house that we have dealing with them with the same reasoning. And we're stuck with our hands tied because we can't do anything about it. The only good thing is periodically, Darren will go there, and if we can't declare it, it's dangerous,
He's maintained.
then we'll throw it down. We can tear it down. If we don't get it, we don't get the house, the land still is sit there and so on. But if it's dangerous to the people in Austintown, then we will tear it down. But we have to get the okay.
Just one question. We were here a month ago.
Yes.
We talked about who owns the house. This is a month later. How long does it take to establish who owns the house?
It could be 2.5 years.
No.
No, wait a minute.
Isn't it on paper?
No, the point is, that's the problem. If it was easy enough, we would have already found out about it. He doesn't even have it yet. If he goes to court, chances are, if he would go to the court, his lawyer could get him that house.
Here's what he told me the other day when Miller was there, because I said, you don't own the house. He said, oh yeah, it's in probate. I go, when did that start? Because he goes, well, yeah, but there's a couple other cases, I put a couple other things out in front of it. So he's saying it's in probate, but it's
Okay,
not.
ma'am, just to address his question. Yeah, you were here August 23rd, and that week, I don't remember which day, I sent a letter to the law firm that does title searches for Austintown zoning. And normally, the turnaround time is 5 to 10 days, but we're still in COVID because it's the courthouse and, people have people working at home. I still don't have the title search, but I'm going to get it, probably this week, if not this week, next week. I will get it. And that will give us more clarification is there a probate case? My guess is there isn't, just based on the things you people are saying. My guess is there isn't, but at least we'll know. We'll know more about the ownership. My guess is she died without a will. He's somehow related. I would define him as the responsible party because he's paying the taxes. And paying taxes on a property is a sign of ownership, but the title search will dictate that. And I do apologize, just the fact that I don't have it. And honestly, you were here on a Monday. I didn't do it the first thing Tuesday morning. I think I did it more at the end of the week. Asked for the title search. And it's just, I just don't have it. I hope to have it. If I would have had it today, I would have told you, would it disclose. But that's just a matter of me getting the title search. And it's gonna happen. And as soon as I get it, if somebody shoots me an email, I'll make a copy of it and I'll send it to you.
Somebody must have heard about our meeting last month because for about the third time in 11 years, I've seen him there twice in 1 week.
He got cited by the Board of Health and the building inspectors. And I think whenever Captain Miller went out, I think it was a coincidence that when Captain Miller went out, he was there. I think it was just coincidence.
Those all stemmed from your complaints that you delivered to us the last meeting that Darren followed up on and turned those complaints in that he was cited for. I mean, one thing that you can rest assured with us is everything that we can lawfully do, if his grass isn't cut, let us know. That's stuff that we can do. If there's garbage piling up outside, that's stuff that we can do. We will continue to follow up on that. Darren will obviously continue to have Captain Miller over there on an annual basis for the structural stuff. But I would take Trustee Crandall up on his offer to attend a Board of Health meeting with him. Believe me, I often say it, if the Board of Health had to live next door to that house, I'm sure things would move a lot faster. But we have the same issues in our own neighborhoods. So when I tell you that we understand your frustration, my frustration is not to the extent of yours, because I don't have smells and stuff like that, but it is frustrating when you see homes that have siding falling off of them, downspouting falling off of them, and you just want to go over to the neighbor and go, listen, do you not see how well we take care of our homes? You're absolutely right.
We've said it 20 times.
Yeah.
You guys absolutely take care of your homes. I don't disagree, and it's a shame.
He's a pretty sharp guy, I will tell you that. He's sharp, he knows what he's doing. Even when I talked to him the last time, I told him something about my wife being in the hospital and she incurred extra expenses because she had to go to Cleveland. He says, bring suit. He says, they probably tell you it's only 6 months that you got to, file charges. It's 2.5 years, I know that. I've sued him myself, he says, so don't worry about it. Bring suit against everybody.
I thought this guy was
He knows
smart.
He
He's
knows
an
how to
insurance
get around
man.
it.
Oh, is he?
He's an insurance man, but he just doesn't know how to take care of a house, and he thinks his house looks as pretty as ours.
Could you
Okay.
guys remain after the meeting is over for a few seconds, and we'll talk about it, we'll get a panel together, and then we'll meet. I'll call and see when, and if, I'd like to go see the director first with somebody, then we can go to the board. If we don't get any satisfaction there, then we'll go to the board meeting.
Okay, anybody else? On camera? Come on.
Sam, you're not going to thank everybody but the street sweeper, are you?
Yeah. Sam Scower, 4492 Vile Road. As you know, this past Saturday was the 20th anniversary of TAP. And we had our annual ceremony, memorial ceremony, as we do every year. We haven't missed a year. But this year, because of COVID being lifted somewhat, it turned out a lot better and a lot more people. The only sad thing about this year is Mr. Conley, the founder and visionary of this memorial, passed away a few months ago. We'd like to thank not only Pat for everything he's done, and I know him passing away put me in charge of it, but as I said, Saturday I'll never be able to fill his shoes, but we got a lot of help. I'm not going to name the individuals I was, but since you guys want to get out of here, but I just want to thank our departments, and I know people come here and say certain things about the different departments not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but I'll tell you what, it's like, if you don't like this country, go to another country and see what it's like. So if you don't like this township, go to another township and see what it's like. That's the easiest way I can tell you. But the park department has been superb with us, with the very small staff that they have in the summer help. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't know what we would do, especially this year, as long as even all the other years. But everything we had to do this year, they were up here, took probably 7 dump truck loads out, and they're always there. Our trustees, Mr. Crandall with his input on getting me to the right people a lot of times, and Steve coming out there and doing the muscle work, helping Barbara, and Jim with his MC and his connections. It's a lot of work, and we get a lot of people say we've had a couple of complaints, well, it doesn't look, well, then come out and help out. You know, if you don't like the way something looks, go home, put some pants on, some shoes, and come out and help. You know, but our police department, who's there all the time for it. And our road department and everybody. You know, I've never gone to any department in this township and got a no or a yes, we'll try to be there. They are there. And it's not just there, it's the Veterans Park down on Mahoney Avenue and everywhere else. We had great coverage this year from 27 and Falcon Media and also the Vindicator. So, and we had Brenda and Don Jordan bring up their fire truck from down in Louisville. The one he redid that was at Ground Zero and got destroyed. They redid it all and brought it up this year. And so that was a big plus. But I'd just like to thank everybody. It went over real well. Two of the key people I'd like to thank is Barbara Sloan, who came on board. She's a master gardener. She worked at Riverside Fellowship, Fellows Riverside Gardens. Helped us out immensely. And Katie Guzzo with the fire department. Wasn't for her and all the paperwork I received from Pat and Carmela that they dropped off at my house. And she came on board and took care of everything. So we've got a new committee going. I've had people say, yeah, I'll come out and help, you know, this and that, but, you know, I'm from the old school. It always happens that way around election time, but then once the election's over, you don't get no help. You know, and that's the way I am. People don't like to hear that, and that's the way it is. But we got about 8, 9 people on the committee, and so if you want to get involved with the community, as Mr. Davis said at the ceremony, you don't have to be a politician to be involved with your community. So I really thank everybody here, and we're trying to do something for Mr. Conley. There's a couple ideas we were talking about with a gentleman, and we'll see what happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else on camera?
That's it.
On camera?
My name is Carol Ricker, and I live at 117 South Roanoke Avenue here in Austintown in Wickliffe. Over a year or a year and a half ago, I had a complaint about the little cemetery that's by Wendy's at Raccoon and Mahoney, how I always had to look at it. And they fixed it. They redid the sandstone on the side. And they got a landscaper that came and put pretty trees in that. Well, I did notice that they came again. They just didn't do this one time. They just redid it, and it looks very nice. And it's good to see, you know, the little cemetery hadn't been forgotten.
Just like Sam said, that was John Cross and Son Landscaping. We just had him actually here about a month ago.
Yeah,
we asked them to come in and we gave them a proclamation for doing that. They did a fabulous job, and actually I talked to them and they said they were just up there a couple weeks ago adding mulch and getting it, and I just drove by and it does, it looks amazing.
It looks very nice.
And Sam Boak and Son was part of that as well, so.
Well, sometimes, you know, we always hear about the bad things that, you know, and I just wanted to say that every day I go up the street to the senior center and I go past the little cemetery, and it's good to see that it's kind of shining now.
Right, it is. Very nice. Thank you, sir. And that's what, you know, Mr. Swager said, you know, and Jim, those people didn't ask us to go do that. They just went and did it. They did it on their own, and they called us after it was completed and said, hey, this is where we're at. And I went down there and it was completely amazing from what it was.
I was just gonna say, I think Boak and Sons are the ones that put the stones back up on the
Yeah,
wall.
they did. They were there digging everything out.
Absolutely.
They did a great job. Anybody else? Off camera? Anybody want to come and talk off camera? All right. Move on. At this point in time, we got remarks from the board. Trustee Kernan?
Well, I'll tell you what, first, Sam, and all of us that are due here, you honored everyone that had the celebration for the 9/11. Let's honor you. Taking over the responsibility of that 9/11 from an outstanding individual, and you're a good friend, and you do such a great job there. The ceremony was phenomenal, but the place itself is just gorgeous. Keeping in mind that 9/11 puts Austintown on the map everywhere, because that is one of the best, if not one of the largest, memorial areas for the 9/11 situation. Unfortunately, we had that, but 20 years ago, everybody remembers where they were from. So
It is in a brochure on the turnpike. When you stop to get a bite to eat, you pick up a brochure and they have different sites, so it is in one of the
Smart.
brochures.
And more.
We in Austintown, I say this constantly, are a veterans organization. I have been one of those people who were, the dear Lord put in between wars and so on. And one time I tried to enlist, they told me I was overweight. I just came out of playing football. I thought that was something else. But the fact is, those of us who did not serve in the Army and so on are so respectful for those who have. You protected my life and my family. But Austintown doesn't do all, and not only are we have the 9/11, and Jim and I, well, a lot of times we're MCs because I think it's our mouth more than anything else. Obviously, I was a speech teacher for the longest time. He was my student, and he never stopped talking either. But he did a wonderful job as being the MC at the 9/11. I was honored to be the MC at the Patriots celebration, where 10 individuals were honored. And once again, I have to thank Quaker Steak and Lube. They do this each year, and it's because of Ken Jacobek. And Ken is an honored veteran. He's a state honored veteran in the Hall of Fame, but he does the work. And I think a lot of people, well, certainly they're all there for the celebration of honoring the 10 individuals, but I think everybody likes to come and see what's his name, Jim Drummond, come flying out of a plane and landing in the middle of us. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning. But congratulations and thank you, Ken Jacobek, and thank you, Quaker Steak and Lube, for those particular things. We had a Hall of Fame for the Athletic Hall of Fame for Austintown. I guess it was a super thing. Unfortunately, I was giving a speech somewhere else. I was lucky enough to be involved in that, and initially I'm one of the, someone always asks me, you went to Camel, you graduated from Camel, how are you in the Austintown Fitch Athletic Hall of Fame? And I said, it's because my mouth. I was the announcer for 35 years, and I also was in charge of all the ceremonies that went on during the school year. So, but I congratulate all of those who were honored this last year. Announcement to everybody else, once again, watch yourself on Turner Road. They're doing the bridge, avoid it at all costs. If you're going to Turner from New Road I wouldn't go that way, simply because you're going to get stuck and have to come back. And that's going to go on until October. So watch yourself and that sort of thing. The two other things, and we get phone calls constantly. And it's just like, unfortunately, when we talk to you about the house, we are restricted, or we can do certain things and we can't do others. I'm still getting phone calls from people who are insulted about the vulgarity on some of the flags. Once again, we talked about that before. Those flags, the vulgar part on those flags and so on. by our lawyer says we can be insulted that they do it. We think it's terrible that they use that kind of language. If it was 50 years ago, we probably could do something else about it, but the fact is that they have their rights to do what they want to do. I just wish it wasn't with the vulgarity. You could put things on the flags without using certain words, and I wish they would, and their neighbors would explain to them, maybe we should just change it. Just change the word. You can do what you want, just change the word. And the other is, a guy called and threatened me about, don't you dare make people put on masks. Well, folks, the only way we can tell people to put or take off masks is here in this hall, period. We don't have that right one way or the other. But the fact remains, if some of the things are going to get worse, if they are, chances are going to have to go back to the system. Now, people are getting shots and so on. We're getting the boosters coming up. And for God's sakes, I hope you have your shots. But if you don't, that's your business, not ours. But the fact is that even with the shots that I have, I could carry the virus to you. And I could get it to you. The other thing is, we can, even with the shots, we can get sick. Knock on wood, the protection is about 85%. It doesn't mean you're not going to be ill. It's just you're not going to die, unless you have a medical problem. But the fact is that people have to understand, when your freedom ends where my freedom begins, me breathing on you, giving you a virus, is not a healthy situation. But the fact of the matter is that don't blame us for putting signs up. The poor school boards have to go through this. All of us want our grandchildren, we're worried about our grandchildren. I mean, people don't want to be told what to do. All I can remember, if you saw Attorney Beatrice this morning, in 1915, we had that virus that came through and was killing everyone. The government immediately put the restriction on everybody. Nobody questioned it then, and we got out of it. Now, everyone questions what is right and what is wrong. Listen to the intelligent people who actually work there. Yes, they may be enlarging the situation, but the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to listen to a guy next door. I'm going to listen to a doctor, a research scientist. I'm going to listen to those particular people. Those are the people that tell us what is right and what is wrong. And that's what we have to listen to. But don't blame us for face masks. We don't make that thing except for right here in this hall. That's it. Thank you.
Trustee Davis?
A couple of quick things, and I'll try to get through all of these. Just quickly, first, I want to thank Lori Wolf, our fiscal officer, for putting up our display at the Campbell Fair. Lori, I joke every year that you won first prize, and once again, you didn't disappoint us. You did a fantastic job getting things ready for the Campbell Fair and making sure Austintown was displayed beautifully, so thank you very much, and to the road guys that helped you as well. Thank you guys for going out there and doing that. You may have read in the paper lately about our fire chief, Andy Frost. I want to just bring this up so everybody understands the method to the madness here. There was a position opened over at Emergency Management, and by their director leaving, and there was a position opened, and they thought so highly of Andy, as much as we do, that they asked him to fill that position. Andy contacted us and informed us that they had an interest in him and showed an interest in him, and of course we certainly were in no position to want to see him leave anytime soon. We are very fortunate to have Chief Frost. So he presented the idea, and they, Mahoning County Commissioners presented the idea that maybe he could be there on a part-time basis. And they would have Robin Lee filling in as a deputy director when Chief Frost couldn't be there, because he's obviously committed to being here full-time. And we thought that was a great idea, and we were happy to share him with them in that role for several reasons. First of all, it means he gets to stay here. We're glad to have him stay as long as he wants because he does such a fantastic job here. But number two, it also means that we're going to know even more about what's going on over at emergency management. And not that they did before, but we know now that more than ever, should we need something from over there, we've got. So, but I just want to say that I think it's a great effort between the Monmouth County Commissioners. And I just want to congratulate you on that because I think that speaks volumes of what people in this community think about you, Andy. So congratulations on that position. I also wanted to thank the Rotary. The Rotary asked me to speak at their Thursday evening meeting, and I got a chance to sit down and tell them about different things going on in Austintown. And as always, I'd like to do this and offer an open invitation. I know the other, my colleagues have done this, that if you do have an organization, you'd like us to come speak, we're happy to come, and some of that allows us to tell you sometimes what we can and cannot do. And that's an opportunity for us to explain what's going on in the community, and also gives you an opportunity to ask us questions about why are we getting so many car washes or Dunkin' Donuts in Austintown. So just thank you to the Rotary. Gary Rill is the president currently. It was an honor to speak there. The Austintown Fitch Athletic Hall of Fame. What more can I say? They put on a phenomenal weekend here in Austintown. I was able to attend the dinner on Saturday, but it is so nice to see so many people return back. People come from all over the United States. They come back to Austintown. Wherever they call home now, Austintown is always their home. And just the great job that the Austintown Fitch Athletic Hall of Fame Committee does to showcase Austintown and what they do when people come back. First of all, they're just blown away by our school district and what they offer in that campus. It's absolutely beautiful. Some of these people haven't seen the schools in over 25, 30 years when they come back here. And to see it now, it's breathtaking. But then when you go inside of Austintown Fitch High School, which was built in 1969, I remember that because my mom reminds me all the time, she was the first graduating class of Austintown Fitch. That building is going to be there for a long time. It's not going anywhere, but what they've done to upkeep that building and make sure that it looks beautiful on the inside and on the outside is second to none. But the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee, if you ever get the chance, go on a Friday night, enjoy a basketball game, because as you go, and I shouldn't even say a Friday night, because the girls' basketball teams play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, as well as other events, whether it's wrestling. As you enter through the gymnasium, there is the Athletic Hall of Fame wall. You can actually take your smartphone, and they have QR readers, and you can use your QR reader, and it will bring up the bio of each member of the Hall of Fame and tell you about them as you're walking in. It wasn't there when I graduated. This Hall of Fame just started in 2008. I graduated in 95. This just is, I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's all thanks to the Athletic Hall of Fame, their members, the people that are a part of that. Thank you to Dan Bokish, former principal in the Austintown Local School District. He is their president of the organization, and his many volunteers, because they have done a fantastic job. I too would like to congratulate Quaker Steak and Lube and Ken Jakubek, as well as their MC Ken Carano, on a great Patriot Day. That is once again a fantastic day. Ken, I told you the story. Eric, you remember him. He was the guy strapped to my back when we jumped out of the plane. Jim Drummond. I said, listen, if I'm jumping, I want the best. I said, Eric, he's old enough. If his chute doesn't open, he's lived a great life. I want the best, so that's why I got Jim.
Never get anybody.
But listen, but you had probably the second best. These guys win competitions every year for jumping out of planes. And Eric and I were fortunate enough to get to jump with them. We landed in a field. This guy lands in the parking lot of Quaker Steak and Lube on a floor mat about this big. And he's unbelievable. But what an event that they do put on down there. Congratulations to them. I also want to thank the Austintown Junior Women's League. It seems like we thank them every meeting, but that's because they do something almost every meeting. They're constantly at the park doing something with Todd, giving an idea to Todd, and making events at our park. They even attend the concerts in the park. They bring beach balls for the kids and they hit them around to pass them around. But thank you to the Junior Women's League for being a part of that. The last thing I want to close with is the 9/11 ceremony. And I'm going to share part of the story that I shared at the 9/11 ceremony. So I'm on my way to the 9/11 ceremony, and I put my suit on to go. And I get in the car, and or I shouldn't say, I grabbed my suit coat and I threw it in the back, and I had my pants and my dress shirt and tie on. And I get out of the car, I put my suit coat on, and I reach in my pocket. And as I reach in my pocket, I pull out a mask. I had a mask in my pocket. But I also pulled out this card. It's a funeral card. The last time I'd worn that suit that I wore at the 9/11 memorial was Pat Conley's funeral. And I said, if that's not a sign to tell you that Pat was there that day, I don't know what was. He's always going to have his hand on that memorial, whether Sam or I like it or not. But I've got to tell you, Sam, the organization you put into it to make sure everything looked as beautiful as it did, and grabbing Trustee Ken out there to pull weeds, we love that. But you did a great job, Sam, and we thank you very much. I also want to thank you for allowing me to be the MC of that event. You know what that means to me, and I truly appreciated that honor. I also want to thank our speakers. Lieutenant Mark Scower from our police department. What you may not know, I just told you about what Chief Frost is going to do at emergency management. Lieutenant Scower, because of the terrorism threats of 9/11, he was given the opportunity, and he took the opportunity upon himself and went to the chief, and the chief okayed it. He has gone to counterterrorism training through Homeland Security. Any event that takes place, whether it's something like our fireworks event, whether it's our graduation. Prior to our fireworks event, he hands me about a 20-page pamphlet, and it basically lays out any threat that he has found, anything that he sees as an obstacle, whether it's how do we get cars in and out in an orderly fashion, what do we see as threats. I mean, what he has done is phenomenal. So they had asked him to speak this year, and he gave a great speech about the people involved with 9/11, and I just want to thank him, number one, for what he does for our community, but number two, for being a part of the 9/11 memorial. So thank you to Lieutenant Scower. Sergeant First Class Susan Krawczyk. I'm glad I was wearing sunglasses, because hearing her talk about knowing that she could potentially be deployed because of 9/11, she was in the Army, and she had an 8-year-old boy, and her husband was also in the military, and he had to be deployed. So the husband was deployed, she was playing mom and dad. And then she talked about 2 years later when she was deployed as well, and she had to leave her son. I can never imagine what our military feels like when they have to leave their family, knowing they may not return. As Trustee Carano said, I was fortunate to not have to enter the military. And I don't say fortunate, I say fortunate based on the fact that I didn't have to go through what those guys go through. There's members of our military in this room tonight. Todd Schaefer, Robert Santos in the back, Sam Swagger, Pat right down front. What you guys have endured, what you have seen is unthinkable. And to hear her tell that story, if you weren't crying, I don't know what it's going to take. Right. Because she tugged at the heartstrings, that's for sure. So thank you so much to her. And then to hear Chief Mark Pitzer. Chief Mark Pitzer is the fire chief in Boardman Township, and many people, number one, say, well, why did he speak at the 9/11 ceremony? Well, I always like to reiterate that the 9/11 Memorial in Austintown is the Mahoney County 9/11 Memorial. It is in Austintown, the property is owned by Austintown Township Park. However, it is the Mahoney County 9/11 Memorial, but he is the president of the Mahoney County Chiefs Association. Part of my speech And I talked about how fortunate we are to have guys like Mark Pitzer. You've got Andy Frost, and you've got Chip Comstock. If those three guys aren't in the top 5 of chiefs in the entire state of Ohio, I don't know who is. And we've got 3 of them here in Mahoning County. And the way they all work together to ensure whether it's them covering us covering them, making sure we're working with the air base, that we don't have a foam truck in Austintown, folks. If we need foam because of a hazmat issue, we've got that coming from the air base. That's all because these guys have the foresight to put disaster preparedness plans together. We are so fortunate. And Mark Pitzer gave a speech, and he talked about battalion chiefs giving orders to their brothers to run into the burning towers. Did you watch 60 Minutes last night? I don't know if you did or not, but the people he were talking about, it was the battalion chief, Pfeiffer, talking about ordering his brother in there, and it was the speech. It was part of the people that were involved with Mark's speech. So to see that correlation and go through that all again, it was amazing to know, Mark's relationship. He was a chief, he was a member of a fire station in Fairfax, Virginia at the time, responding to the Pentagon. And so that was just exceptional. So thank you to our 3 speakers. And I'm going to end with this in relationship to that. I thank the Junior Women's League. I thank Rotary. I thank the 9/11 Memorial Committee. I thank the Hall of Fame Committee. There are people in this community that do stuff for our community, whether they go out and they clean up garbage along the streets, whether they go and they clean up cemeteries, whether they're a member of this organization. You don't have to be elected to do something for your community, folks. Please, we have great organizations in this community. If you can join them, join them. If you're financially available or financially able to donate to these organizations, those organizations I named, they donate scholarships to our youth in this community. They are second to none. Believe me when I tell you, you don't have to be elected to be a community leader. You can be a community leader by being a part of one of these organizations, or even simply picking up garbage and helping out and making Austintown what it is. And so I just publicly want to thank the people that do that are community leaders without being elected. Guys like Sam Swagger. Those are the people that have inspired me to do what I do today. And that is simply continue to make Austintown the best place to live. So Sam, thank you once again for what you do. And that's all I got.
I got a little quick. I wanted to say congratulations, Chief. That's an honorary position. We're definitely, the Austintown community is definitely benefited to have you here. As far as Sam, you and your crew, Tony, Bob, Barb, when I was there, everybody was sweating, working. It was just a grind. I had so many compliments on how that place looked. It shines. So Pat's looking down on you and the rest of you guys, and just that amazement. So great job there. I want to say a special thank you to Mrs. Carroll and Mrs. Carney for taking their social study classes over to the 9/11 Memorial and having Sam and his crew talk about that day. Those students were not even alive, and they got educated firsthand. And there's nothing better than going out and actually seeing those parts of the monuments that we have here in Austintown. So thank you to our teachers for keeping that, never forgetting that day. It's National Police Women's Week. Austintown's very honored to have 4. Sergeant Detective Kathy Dina, Sergeant Valerie Delmont, Officer Leah Page, and Officer Anna Mangan. These 4 women go out there every day and serve our community, and we thank you for putting all the police levy forces on and passing them so we can continue to hire our great individuals in our police department. Our police department, hands down, one of the best in the country. Like Mark Scower. I know we're safe. I know everyone in this township's safe when we hold on a event. So I just want to reach out, Chief, tell them thank you very much for those 4 ladies doing what they do and putting those guns on every day and walking out there. That's about it. Oh, I did got one more thing. Our fall sports in Austintown started, and if you look at the stats and seeing how we're improving, first, second, third, we're progressing every year. A few years back, we hired athletic trainer Daniel Wedding, and I think that is a big key for our school. He is teaching every grade from, I believe, 7th grade on up, getting those kids in the weight room, doing yoga. And I think he is a key point in our community for our kids' future, for our athletics, and for their health, because he works them out every day. And that gym is constantly busy with our kids going through there. And I just wanted to reach out and tell him thank you, because, I mean, they're amazing. He's amazing. So, that's it. Motion to recess the executive session for the following: to consider appointment, employment, discipline, or compensation to public employees.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Crano?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
in association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.